Hello, this is Serrano from Texas Justice Review. I'm going to give you a lowdown of the judges that are in Dallas, Texas. We're going to use some of these judges as nexuses to pull in all the others, one in particular. So this all started when I wanted to do a media, Texas Justice Review, a couple of years back. And maybe God is just saying, I'm going to take you through the experience because that's the only way you're going to learn. And I mean, you're going to end up sleeping in your car, you're going to end up penniless, even though you have assets of $1.2 million. God comes to you and say that? Better believe it. So anyway, I started off, well, I didn't. She started off with a divorce because she felt the grass was greener on the other side. It wasn't, right? So we went before the Judge Bernard, who is supposed to be illegal and not living in Texas, in Dallas, in family court. She's an associate judge. And then it went to Judge Kim Brown, who was the presiding judge. And so what happened is the attorney, Victoria Warner, keeps spinning the case. She's very cunning. She's a good liar. I mean, that woman is, she lies right on the facts. And you're trying to tell a judge she's lying. It's not this date, it's that date. It's not this, is that. She's lying. And the judges are not listening. Why? Because you're pro se. And she's an attorney claiming 30 years of experience. But she's lying. And even though you're saying to the judge, you know, this didn't happen before. It happened after it happened before. The judges are not listening to you because you're pro se. But all that's going to change soon. Just remember, Jesus was pro se. And they also did not listen to him. There is a method to God's madness in this. And just listen. So what happened is Judge Kim Brown didn't, she was lied to, that there was threat made against her associate, and she didn't want to listen. She was too emotional. So then she was recused. And my ex's case went through 7 judges, and the 7 judges did not want to hear her case, did not want it. Just remember, this is her lawsuit, not mine. And 7 family court judges, black judges, did not want it. I don't know if they didn't want it because it came from Kim Brown and there was a problem with her and her associate judge, but they just rejected my ex's lawsuit against me. Now today, the Victoria Warner, she tries to spin it. Oh, 6 judges didn't want to hear him. No, this is your case. This is how they spin stuff. And they were convinced that Judge Nicole Munzo, who was given this case where I sued my ex's attorney, it went to Judge Emily Tobolski. She's like a top judge. And she sent it to an associate judge because she's busy. And this woman here is giving advice to the lawyer and all that kind of stuff, but we'll get into that later. So it went from Bernard, it went from Kim Brown, and just remember, this is my ex's attorney. They're trying to say it's mine and it's being dismissed. No, her lawsuit is being dismissed. 7 judges in family court didn't want her lawsuit against me. I don't know what they saw. I don't know if they saw my response as to what kind of person she was or the attorney was, but they rejected it. Some of those cases was Vonda Bailey Shore, Steely, a whole bunch of, almost all the black judges didn't want her case. So then finally, it went to the only white family court judge, who was Mary Brown, but she didn't get elected. She barely put in a write-in thing, and she won that family court case. I don't know what's wrong with you lawyers. The money there is like $100 and something thousand. But anyway, she won it by a write-in vote. So all the black judges did not want, my ex is white, did not want her case. This is her case. She sued me. And I told these judges what she's doing and how she was, abusive. So they all rejected her divorce against me. All of them. And then it goes to the white judge. And then they pull in a criminal judge by the name of Michael Snipes. If you watch my video, you will see that. And then she recused herself. So now he's a criminal judge on a family court case. No experience. So in the beginning, he was forcing me back into court. And I said, listen, this is too much unbearable and emotional for me. I just don't want to keep being forced back into court all the time. So anyway, he was still doing it. And me and him butted heads. And I told him, if you can't handle it, recuse yourself. I used the word recuse. And this man just got pissed off. And he was like, he just dismissed every motion that I have for funding, for financing, everything else, and just started giving my ex everything. So he's on an ego trip right now. I filed criminal charges against him, official misconduct, official oppression, because he was abusing his authority to target me as a minority. And I went to John Crusoe's office, the prosecutor's office, and they said that he's working here. He worked here, so we can't prosecute him. Even though he committed a crime, even though he abused his office, the Dallas County prosecutor's office can't prosecute him or won't prosecute him because they said he used to work here. Yeah, he got a get out of jail free card. So he's the nexus, right? He's a senior judge, so he knows a lot of people. He knows all the other judges. And even if he doesn't know them, if you have a case that affects his, he makes a phone call. And we'll get into that later. So anyway, he gets the case and he started just giving her stuff. The attorney of 30 years knew exactly what she was doing, but I kind of knew what I was doing too. So she filed this and I filed that. She filed this, I filed an opposition. She filed this and I filed an opposition. So what she did was she told a judge he's a vexatious litigant because he's filing all this kind of stuff. So if you file this, I'm not allowed to file anything before Judge Michael Snipes in 301 court, family court. He says Mary Brown, but he's in it. So the lawyer filed something and I filed a response. Oh, he's a vexatious litigant because he's responding. He's not supposed to respond to anything I say. He's supposed to just take the beating like Christ, the whipping on the back, and just take it and die. And he's not supposed to ask for any money. So I did my own analysis, and my ex and I, we had like over $800,000 in assets. $450,000 in 401k, $300,000 in bonuses, airplane miles that could drive and take you across the world 6 times. And I got none of it. Family court is supposed to be 50-50. Judge Michael Snipes took everything and gave it to her. But this is how smart they are. He said if I want any part of the 401k, he's going to tie it into the sale of the house because he knows she's already living free and fine. I don't have anywhere to go. I have no money. They offered me $100,000 and I rejected it. Here's why I rejected it. If we've got the total of $1.2 million, why am I just getting $100,000? And your judicial system is supposed to make that equal. So the case goes on and I filed for a jury trial. If you're pro se, please do a jury trial. Don't wait for these judges. But here, they even got around this. My jury trial with my ex was supposed to be June 10th. The judge says, well, you need to fill out your report, some kind of inventory report. And since you didn't, we're going to move your jury trial all the way till November 11th. And we're going to have an injunctive hearing motion on your trial date. That doesn't make sense. Why don't we just have the trial? So they were doing the same thing. They were doing their own trial, but dismissing my jury trial by judge. So it's at that time on June 10th when they removed my jury trial, they divided everything 100 to her, 0 to me. And the judge even had her cut off my electricity at 103 degrees and told me if I didn't like it, go live in a shelter. I'm like, how is this the law? This cannot be the law. So Dallas is notorious for not following the law. The judges do not follow the law in Dallas. The system is designed that the law tells the judge what to do. This is the law. It tells this judge what to do and how to act. But when they get emotional, which is most of the times they do, they decided, well, no, you are not going to do this and this is not going to happen. I'm dismissing this and I'm dismissing that. So they're not following the law. They're following their attitude. They're following their personality, following their racism. They're following their prejudice and bias. There's no law. So if you were to take the decision of a judge and you were to take the application that you make and you put it in something like ChatGPT law or these new AI laws, which fires a lot of their interns because they use these things now, it's going to show the judge is biased, prejudiced, and shouldn't be making these kind of decisions. The decision is supposed to be based on the law, like Civil Code of Procedure number 8. Anytime an attorney wants to represent somebody, they have to file a notice of appearance. And a lot of times these attorneys are not doing it in this case, and they're getting away with it. So judges don't follow laws. They follow what they think is the law. And so anyway, we went through all of that. And we finally, Michael Snipes, he removed the trial, made his own trial. We actually had a trial by him. They presented a list of everything they wanted, and he never asked me, where's your list? And he gave her everything on this list, so I got nothing. All the money. And in addition to that, what the judge did was my ex made an application not to have her audit. And that's going to be very important. I want you to listen to that. She wants me banned from auditing her because she's hiding funds, which is a criminal act in any proceedings. And so he signs it. He signs to protect the money for her only. A judge signing an order to hide money for one side. And I can't take him to criminal court because John Crusoe is saying, no, we're going to protect him because he used to work here. And then, so we come down to the decree on December the 20th of November. The 19th, I sued my ex and her. There is a vexation claim, and I'll do another video for that because I need to explain that to you by law. So I sued my ex and her attorney on the 19th of November. On the 20th, they signed a decree that I'm not allowed to sue them. Why would an attorney put in her client's decree that I'm not allowed to sue her unless she knew she was breaking the law, unless she knew she was committing fraud? So the judges in Dallas, they look down at minorities. They look down at people who are pro se. And that's probably the reason that I think God chose people like me or someone like me. Because when God chose Jesus to go after the Roman government, the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sanhedrins, who were all lawyers, it wasn't a matter of law. It was a matter of the misinterpretation of law and ruling by status rather than law. And as Jesus said to the scribes, if you knew Moses, you would have known the law. And if you knew the law, you would have known me. And so that's kind of like what somebody like me comes along happens. You pick somebody like me because when I go into court to argue with these judges, and it becomes an argument, they look down at you, even though you're right. Even though you're reading the law and you're telling them by law, this is what is supposed to happen, not what you're ruling at. Because it says if a judge issued a TRO and they violate it, you have to enforce that TRO, which is what I tried to tell a judge today. Oh, no, she even gave advice to the other attorney how to have the case dismissed. So you go through all of that, but you have to have a character and a personality where the judges feel they can beat you down. They feel they can manipulate your rights and take away what is just to you. And they think that, well, he's a minority. He doesn't have an attorney. Where's he going to go? Nobody's going to tell. Who's going to tell, And that is the kind of people you chose. I was watching something the other day, and this Chinese woman went into this white person's place, and she's speaking like I don't understand. And is this what you have to pay? And he goes, no, you got to pay more. And then she goes, okay, I pay more. She was an Asian person. I pay more. And then she paid more, and then he says, good. And then she turns into an FBI agent. You're under arrest for soliciting, and you're under arrest for overcharging, overpricing people. And her English just mastered, and she had a handcuff and a badge. And so that's kind of like what Jesus came for, and people like me come for. In the courtroom, you have to act like, look at this person. They come in here with the law, and we know the law, and we're better, and we're not going to give him anything. And then I come out here, and I said, this is what really happened. And because I'm in media, I can expose this kind of stuff. So anyway, I say that to say this. Michael Snipes come back to the trial and threatened and said to me, if you tell the jury, I gave her all the money, if you tell the jury anything except the property, I will put you in jail. I will arrest you. I'll put you in jail. So evidently, judicial oppression, maliciousness by a judge, malice. There's a word, and it just slipped my mind. Malicious prosecution, malicious oppression. Was it judicial? Anyway, I'll get the word in a second. There's a code that you put with these judges when they commit these kind of crimes. And so Michael Snipes is a senior judge. He had 15 Congress people sign for him to be at the DOJ when Obama was here because he's a liberal judge. And when you're a liberal judge, you get to do whatever you want here. because this is Dallas. And liberal judges get away with crazy stuff in Dallas. And he's a senior judge. So, like I said, when he calls somebody, even if he doesn't know, hey, I want you to throw this case, I want you to dismiss this case, they do it. So back then in March 27, 2024, I had him actually recused. And the recusal was successful. But all of a sudden, Judge Kim Brown showed up and says, I'm here to hear the recusal. Okay, then when you have to hear a recusal from a judge, you have to have a written order, an assignment order by the chief judge. I learned a lot. By the chief judge, Ray Reelis. She didn't have one. And then that has to be in the docket. There isn't any. But yet she heard and she put him back on the case. Well, wait a second. You can't put him back in the case because you didn't have an order to do so. So Michael Snipes is actually illegal on my case, signing off to have me arrested because I won't give up my house because I'm asking for 50%. That's it. My arrest and my attempted arrest or whatever they're trying to do, seize my house, sell all my property, was because I asked them to follow the law. That's all I did, just follow the law. Like today when I went before Nicole Monzo, this looks like just a lawyer they took and they said, would you like to be a judge? A young lawyer. And she said, sure. And they made her a judge. And so she's actually, if you put me and her side by side, you'll see that she will be struggling to make arguments like I'm making arguments. And she goes up on the bench and I'm trying to tell her, I said, look, Judge Stacey Williams made an order. They violated the order. Execute her order. Obey her order. Even you. What's the word I'm looking for? That's all she had to do today. They violated an order. Yet, they're taking my stuff out of my house and selling it because they said I violated an order. Unfortunately, the order that they're saying I violated was within a bankruptcy stage. You can't execute that order, but they're still doing it. And that's why they blocked me from suing them like my ex did, because they're breaking the law. And they're breaking the law, and they know they have protection from Michael Snipes and everybody else. So when you're going through the system, you learn about these judges. And if you ever come across these judges, please let me know. The first time I sued my ex and her attorney was in July of last year. Judge Martin Huffman, Judge Maria Aceves, who are top in the political Democratic circle, they both had cases with default judgments against my ex's attorney and against my ex. They held it just the day of the default and called up Michael Snipes. And then Huffman, he said, who's the judge? I said, Michael Snipes. He goes, he doesn't do family law. And I said, exactly. Yet, they shut those cases down. These are tort claims of fraud, that civil cases that your family court can't give you remedy for. But to help him, they shut the case. They renamed it to from a DC, which is Dallas County, to DF, which is Dallas Family, and sends it to the guy. He's still sitting on it. He can't rule on it because a family court judge. The only reason he did that is because if these two judges had ruled on it, Aceves and Hoffman, his case would have been over. That's why he's holding it. And what they're doing is criminal. These are criminal acts for judges to do these kind of things. But who are you going to go to? And maybe that's why I am here, to find out how do we get this resolved. So, anyway, so it went, Judge Stacey, I sued them the second time, a day before the decree that says I can't sue them. And so that those two cases turned into 4, because now you renumbered them. And then, so we have these 2 live cases. My ex's case is before Gina Slaughter, who is stalling it. And I have a feeling phone calls are being made, just like with Hoffman and Aceves, because this guy is the nexus. Michael Snipes is a nexus of controlling. He was accused of case fixing when he was in the prosecutor's office. This is what he does. This is how he controls stuff. And so anyway, Judge Stacey Williams had the case with the lawyer. And they tried their best to get her to dismiss it. They bombarded her. They were always showing up. And the lawyer made an application to dismiss, and it was denied. Because the lawsuit was based on fraud, defrauding me of the house by hiding money, by concealing assets, by abusing her own judicial office. So when I made many arguments before Judge Stacey, and the lawyer comes up, she's lying consistently, And even now, Judge Stacey Williams says, I'm not dismissing this case. And then finally last week, or a week and a half, or 2 weeks ago, they pressured her so much that she still says, she still ruled, not dismissing it, but I'm recusing myself. Because if Michael Snipes and whoever it is he called to come after her, listen, dismiss the case. Just say it's a family court case. Send it back to family court. We'll deal with this guy. I don't like him. We've got a clan going on here. And so she decided no, she wasn't going to do it. But the attorney today said, oh, she dismissed the case, recused herself. Yes, because you guys pressured her. All Stacey Williams had to do was to sign her TROs, temporary restraining order. And they bullied that woman. So they're trying to turn it against me that it's my fault. No, you bullied her. And so she recused herself, and it went to Judge Emily Tobolsky. And Emily Tobolsky sends it to an associate judge. This is the Nicole character. Just arrogant. I hate judges that says, okay, speak. I've heard from you. What do you have to say? Oh, okay, you're the lawyer and he's not. Okay, you're lying. Okay, you lied about him filing this lawsuit before the decree. Okay, that's okay. You can lie. And oh, by the way, why don't you file a motion to dismiss? A judge cannot give advice to one side. A judge cannot tell another side what to do in a case. You listen to both sides. And she was lying through her teeth, and I stood up and I said, come on, Judge. I wasn't allowed to speak because she had made her mind up. Why did she already make her mind up? Normally, there's always a rebuttal. When a judge is not rebuttaling you, she doesn't want to hear you. And she goes, I read your complaint. But if you read my complaint, right, you should see it's time for you to execute Judge Stacey Williams' order. And the order said they're not supposed to seek any kind of writ of possession, any kind of lockout, any kind of arrest. And this judge, this so-called judge today, decided I'm not going to honor Judge Stacey Williams' temporary order, and I'm not going to execute it. I'm going to deny it. And I don't know, it just was crazy today. And I'm looking at her and I'm saying, that's not the law. The law is if a judge issued an order not to do something and somebody does it, and it's before you, you have to prosecute that person. You have to execute the law. You've got to make sure that her order is respected. None of that. They got into vexation. They got into character assassination. They got into a buddy system. And I'm like, when and where in this judicial system in Dallas can somebody actually finally follow the damn law? Follow the law. So the thing is, they're selling my house. Tomorrow they're going to give it away to everybody. And they stole the washer and dryer that I bought. Very beautiful equipments. And they just gutted everything. I heard they took all my 40 years of sentimental stuff and very valuable audio and video equipments, because I'm a publisher and I do a lot of work with that. Things you cannot buy on the market. And Judge Michael Snipes has 4 strikes against him. Number 1, he wasn't put back on the case properly, so he shouldn't be there. Number 2, I filed an appeal against his case. His case is appealed since November 2nd. When he did the June 11th reorder, bringing the case back, I appealed that again. When they came back on August 1st, I appealed that again. There is 3 pending appeals on this guy not to move forward with this case. Because here's the law as I know it. When you file an appeal on a case, there's something called plenary power. The judge loses that. You can come back and do a little bit of monetary things to enforce the things, but you cannot open up the case to put a receiver. A receiver that didn't file an oath of certificate, that didn't pay us $100 like he was supposed to the court. And this guy's in my house right now. When you file an appeal, there can be no further action on the case if it's in the appeals court. So the case is an appealed case. So they are still reopening and working on an appealed case. A case that was appealed 3 times. When you have an appealed case, a judge is supposed to say, so today I tried to tell this woman today, this judge, this is an appealed case. They can't be making all kind of judgments on appeal case and warrants and seizing property on appeals case. She didn't understand. This is why she's an associate judge, hired as a lawyer. Hey, come sit as a judge. This is the problem in Dallas. These judges are picking these lawyers they like and dumping them as judges, associate judges, to get the workflow. And this is one of the major problems that we have in Dallas right now. And we need to stop this. Judges need to be screened. They're not. They're just ordinary lawyers that probably can't even do a good job, but they're putting them as associate judges that can ruin your life. And they're not following the law. So that's another problem that we have in Dallas County. So anyway, she was given advice to go and file a motion to dismiss. Why are you talking about that? We already have motions to dismiss, and it was denied. And the attorney kept lying and saying, Victoria Warner, oh, I have no money in this case. This was a long time ago. But wait, if you look at the decree says when the house is sold, she gets $50,000. Lying. Boy, I wish I can get her under oath. And that was recorded today. Oh, he sued me after the vexatious claim. I was like, excuse me. I sued you last year before your decree. But this judge is believing everything she's saying, all the lies. So she goes, your motion is denied. So right now, she's saying that Judge Stacey Williams' 2 restraining order is of no effect. Judge Stacey Williams is very clear. This order is in effect at all times that it's supposed to be. And so this is what we have going on in the court. We have people that are getting elected. This woman today was not an elected judge. So my option today, instead of appealing her, you appeal her to her presiding judge, the judge that sent the case to her. I think it's called a de novo. I had to deal with this before. So you appeal the associated judge to the presiding judge that sent the case to her and says she's in error. Any judge that makes an order and the order is violated and another judge gets it has to execute the order. And she didn't want to. And I have a feeling it was her inexperience and her arrogance. Because a good judge, a compassionate judge who deserved to be under guard in a courtroom would have listened to the lawyer and says, Mr. Bowler, do you have anything else you want to add? I said, yes, Your Honor, she's lying. She said that